The emergency alert system goes off during my morning inspection of the water treatment plant's chlorination tanks. The harsh blare echoes off the concrete walls, and I fumble for my phone while checking the chemical feed pumps. Emergency alert. Astronomical event in progress. Do not look directly at blue star visible in eastern sky. Seek indoor shelter immediately. Avoid reflective surfaces. Blue star, I mutter, squinting through the small window. The morning sky looks normal enough. Pale gray clouds, the usual smog haze over the valley. My name's Zane Holt, and I've been running water quality checks at this facility for 8 years. I know what normal looks like, and this is it. The alert repeats twice more while I'm logging the chlorine residual readings. Same message, same urgent tone. I try calling my supervisor, but the lines are jammed. The radio in the control room crackles with confused chatter from other municipal workers. Anyone else getting these astronomical alerts? Comes a voice I recognize as Maeve from the power company. Yeah, but I don't see any blue star, responds someone from road maintenance. Sky looks normal to me. I finish my morning rounds, checking the settling tanks and filtration systems. Everything's running within normal parameters. pH balanced, turbidity low, flow rate steady. If there's some kind of astronomical emergency happening, the water treatment process doesn't seem to care. But when I step outside to check the intake valves, I notice something odd. The shadows from the overhead pipes and walkways are pointing in slightly the wrong direction. Not dramatically wrong, just off by maybe 10 degrees from where they should be at this time of morning. I've walked this facility so many times I could navigate it blindfolded, and these shadows feel wrong. My phone buzzes with another alert. Blue star event ongoing. Remain indoors. Report any unusual observations to local authorities. I call my wife Sophia from the control room. She works at the elementary school across town, and if there's really some kind of emergency, I need to know she's safe. Zane? The school's in lockdown. They won't tell us why, just that it's a precautionary measure. Are you seeing anything strange at the plant? Shadows are pointing wrong, I tell her, and I keep getting these alerts about a blue star, but I don't see one. Don't go outside, she says. Promise me, whatever this is, just stay in the building until we know more. I promise, but my job requires outdoor inspections. The water system serves 40,000 people in this valley, and if something goes wrong with the treatment process, people could get sick. I have responsibilities. The radio crackles again. This is county emergency services. All municipal workers maintain normal operations but minimize outdoor exposure. We're getting conflicting reports about visibility conditions. Conflicting reports. That's the phrase that sticks with me as I review the treatment plant's automated monitoring systems. In 8 years of municipal work, I've learned that conflicting reports usually mean something's wrong, but nobody wants to admit they don't understand what. The chemical feed systems are running perfectly. The filters are clear. The bacterial counts from yesterday's lab tests were well within acceptable ranges. But those shadows outside are still pointing in the wrong direction, and now that I think about it, the quality of light coming through the windows seems different. Flatter somehow, like the sun is shining from a broader area instead of a single point. At 10:30 a.m., I get a call from Tessa at the downstream monitoring station. Her voice sounds strained. Zane, I'm reading some weird fluctuations in the dissolved oxygen levels. Nothing dangerous yet, but the pattern doesn't make sense. It's like something's affecting the water before it reaches the treatment plant. I check my intake monitors. The raw water quality shows normal readings, but Tessa's station is 3 miles downstream from our output. If something's affecting the water between our facility and hers, it's happening in the open channel that runs along the valley floor. I'll drive down and take some samples, I tell her. Didn't you get the alerts? We're supposed to stay indoors. Water quality emergency overrides weather warnings, I say, which is standard protocol. If there's contamination in the system, people need to know. But as I'm gathering my sampling equipment, I realize this isn't a weather warning. It's something else entirely, something the emergency management system doesn't have proper protocols for. The alerts keep coming every 20 minutes, always the same message about the blue star and staying indoors. But when I glance through the windows, the sky still looks normal. Gray clouds, distant mountains, the familiar industrial landscape of the valley. The only thing that's changed is the angle of those shadows, and now I'm starting to notice that the shadows from the buildings across the street are pointing wrong too. Everything's running exactly as it should at the treatment plant. The automated systems are maintaining perfect chemical balance, the pumps are cycling normally, the backup generators are ready if needed. I'm doing my job exactly as I've been trained to do it. But those shadows keep pointing in the wrong direction, and the light coming through the windows keeps getting flatter and stranger, and I'm beginning to think that maybe normal isn't something I can rely on anymore. I drive to the downstream monitoring station against protocol, but water quality emergencies don't wait for administrative clearance. The route takes me along the Valley Access Road, past the industrial district and through the residential area where Sophia teaches. The streets are mostly empty, but not completely deserted. A few people are walking around normally, some are hurrying between buildings with their heads down, and others are standing in parking lots staring up at the sky. The mix of reactions bothers me more than universal panic would have. Tessa's monitoring station is a small concrete building next to the water channel. She's inside running tests when I arrive, and her readings confirm what I suspected: dissolved oxygen levels fluctuating in patterns that don't match any contamination source I know. It started about an hour ago, she explains, showing me the data charts. Regular cycles, like something's breathing in the water. But there's no industrial discharge scheduled, no agricultural runoff, nothing that should cause this. I take samples from 3 points along the channel. The water looks normal, smells normal, tests normal for the standard battery of chemicals and bacteria we monitor. But something is definitely affecting it between my plant and her station. Have you seen this blue star everyone's talking about? Asked. Tessa shakes her head. I've been looking. Sky seems normal to me. But she points to the shadow cast by the monitoring station's antenna array. Like the shadows at my plant, it's pointing about 10 degrees off from where it should be. You see it too? Yeah, and the light quality is different, flatter, like there's a secondary light source somewhere, but not bright enough to cast its own shadows. We run more tests, checking for every possible contaminant that could affect dissolved oxygen. Nothing shows up. The water is technically perfect according to every standard we're required to monitor, but something is happening to it that our instruments can't detect. My phone buzzes. Blue star event intensifying. Seek immediate indoor shelter. Avoid all reflective surfaces, including water. Avoid water? Tessa reads over my shoulder. That's a hell of a thing to tell a water treatment operator. I drive back to my plant, but instead of taking the direct route, I detour through downtown. I need to see what's happening with the broader community, and as a municipal worker, I have some responsibility to report conditions. Downtown is strange. Maybe half the businesses are closed with hastily posted signs. Closed due to emergency alert, or back when conditions improve. The other half are open normally, with customers and staff acting like nothing unusual is happening. At the coffee shop where I sometimes grab lunch, the barista is serving customers normally, but she's avoiding the windows. When I ask about the emergency alerts, she says, "What alerts? My phone's been quiet all morning." 2 blocks away, a crowd has gathered in the parking lot behind the library, all of them staring eastward. I park and walk over to see what they're looking at. "There," says an elderly man, pointing toward the mountains. "You see it? That blue star, right above the ridgeline." I follow his finger. I see the mountains, the gray sky, some scattered clouds. No blue star. I don't see anything unusual, I tell him. Look harder. It's right there, bright as anything. Getting brighter too. A woman beside him nods vigorously. My daughter called from college upstate. She says everyone there can see it. Says it's beautiful but wrong somehow. I stare at the eastern sky for 5 minutes. Nothing looks different to me, but the shadows cast by the library building are pointing northwest instead of west, and the quality of light on all these people's faces is definitely flatter than it should be. Back at the treatment plant, I find my supervisor Jonah waiting in the control room. He's got a tense expression and a thick folder of printouts. State Emergency Management wants hourly reports on water system status, he says, and they want detailed documentation if anything changes, no matter how minor. What aren't they telling us? They're not sure what they're dealing with. Some kind of astronomical event that's affecting people differently. Maybe 30% of the population can see this blue star, the rest can't. But everyone's experiencing some kind of environmental effects. I show him the dissolved oxygen data from Tessa's station. He studies it with the focused attention he usually reserves for major system failures. This is outside our normal parameters, but not dangerous yet, he says. Keep monitoring. If the fluctuations get worse or if we start seeing other indicators, we may need to switch to emergency protocols. What kind of emergency protocols work against astronomical events? We don't know. That's why they want hourly reports. I spend the afternoon running every diagnostic I can think of. The water treatment systems are functioning perfectly, but the environmental conditions around them are slowly changing. The shadow angles are getting more pronounced. The light quality continues flattening. And now I'm noticing that reflections in puddles and windows look somehow wrong, like they're showing the same image from a slightly different angle. At 3 p.m., I get a call from Sophia. I need to leave the school. They're extending the lockdown indefinitely, but the teachers are getting panic attacks. I'm going to drive straight home. Will you meet me there? I should stay until evening shift arrives. Zane, please. Something's really wrong. Half the kids can see the star thing, half can't. The ones who can see it are getting agitated, saying it's getting bigger. The ones who can't are getting scared because everyone else is acting strange. I look at the treatment plant's control boards. Everything running normally. Backup systems ready. Emergency protocols documented. I've done everything I can do here, and my wife needs me. But as I'm preparing to leave, Tessa calls again. The dissolved oxygen fluctuations are getting stronger, and I'm starting to see something else in the data, temperature variations that don't match the weather conditions. I check my own monitoring systems. She's right. The intake water temperature is showing microfluctuations that follow the same pattern as the dissolved oxygen changes. Something is affecting the entire water system in ways we don't understand. I realize I can't leave. Not yet. Whatever's happening, the water treatment plant may be the only thing standing between 40,000 people and a contaminated water supply. Even if I don't understand the threat, I understand my job. I'll stay until evening shift, I tell Sophia. But if things get worse, I'm coming home. She doesn't argue, but I can hear the worry in her voice. Just be careful. And don't look at any reflective surfaces. Some of the teachers who did that got really agitated. After she hangs up, I realize I've been unconsciously avoiding the puddles and reflective surfaces around the plant all day. Something instinctive warned me away from them, the same way you automatically avoid stepping on ice that looks too thin. The shadows are now pointing almost northwest, a good 20 degrees off from where they should be. The light continues getting flatter and stranger, and something is definitely happening to the water, something my instruments can detect but can't identify. I don't understand what's going on, but I understand that my job is to keep the water system running normally for as long as possible. even if normal isn't something I can count on anymore. By 4 p.m., the fluctuations in Tessa's monitoring data have spread to my intake systems. The water coming into the treatment plant shows the same rhythmic variations in dissolved oxygen and temperature, like something massive is breathing in the watershed upstream from us. I call the County Water Authority. We need to check the reservoir conditions. Something's affecting the entire watershed. Can't authorize field trips to the reservoir during the emergency alert, comes the response. Maintain normal operations and document everything. Normal operations. I've been running normal operations all day while the light gets stranger and the shadows point in impossible directions. The treatment systems don't care about astronomical events. Chlorine levels stay balanced, filtration rates remain steady, bacterial counts stay within acceptable ranges. But the water itself is changing in ways my equipment can barely detect. Silas from the evening shift arrives early, looking shaken. Traffic's getting weird out there. Half the drivers are acting normal, half are driving like they're distracted by something in the sky. Had to take side roads to avoid 3 different fender benders. I show him the data trends. He's got 15 years experience with water systems, and his face gets grim as he reviews the charts. I've never seen patterns like this, he says. It's like something's interfering with the natural dissolved gas equilibrium. But there's no industrial source, no weather event, nothing that should cause this. We run parallel tests on the same water samples. My results show the fluctuations clearly. His results show normal, stable readings. Run it again, I tell him. Same result. His instruments are reading the water as completely normal. Mine are detecting rhythmic variations that are getting stronger every hour. Maybe your calibration's off? He suggests, but he doesn't sound convinced. I recalibrate everything and run the tests again. Same fluctuating patterns. Silas gets normal readings from the same samples using the same procedures on identical equipment. That's when I realize the astronomical event isn't just affecting what people can see in the sky. It's affecting what our instruments can detect. Some people can see the blue star, others can't. Some equipment can detect the water changes, others can't. I need to check something, I tell Silas. I walk to the window facing east and stare at the mountain ridge where the crowd was looking earlier. Still nothing. Gray sky, distant mountains, normal afternoon light. But the shadows on the ground outside are now pointing almost due north, and the quality of light is so flat it looks like an overcast day even though there are only scattered clouds. Do you see anything unusual in the eastern sky? I ask Silas. He looks. Nope. Looks normal to me, but those shadows are definitely wrong. I call Tessa. Are you still getting the fluctuating readings? Getting stronger. And now I'm seeing something else. The water level in the monitoring channel is changing slightly. Not enough to affect flow calculations, but it's rising and falling in the same pattern as the dissolved oxygen. Silas's instruments aren't detecting any of this. Only mine are. That's really not good, is it? I think about my wife at the school, half the children able to see something the other half can't. About the mixed reactions in town. Some people acting normal while others stare at empty sky. About my instruments detecting changes that identical equipment can't measure. I think we're experiencing some kind of perceptual division, I tell her. Some people are sensitive to whatever's happening, others aren't. And it's affecting our equipment too. The emergency alerts have stopped coming. I check my phone, the last one was 2 hours ago. Either the emergency is over, or the system has given up trying to warn us about something it can't properly define. I call Sophia. No answer. I try the school. The line is busy. I need to go check on my wife, I tell Silas. Can you handle the plant? Yeah, but Zane, if your readings are accurate and mine aren't, how do I know if something goes wrong? It's a fair question. If the water treatment systems start failing in ways only some instruments can detect, how do we maintain emergency response protocols? Document everything, I tell him. Every reading, even if they seem normal. Timestamp everything. If conditions change suddenly, switch to emergency chlorination protocols first, ask questions later. I drive toward the school, but the route takes me through downtown again. The mix of normal and abnormal behavior is getting more pronounced. Some businesses are open and busy, others are closed with staff gathered outside staring eastward. Some drivers are navigating normally, others are driving slowly while looking up through their windshields. At a red light, I roll down my window and ask a pedestrian, "Do you see anything unusual in the sky?" "The blue star? Yeah, it's getting huge. Probably 3 times as bright as when it started. Beautiful, but wrong somehow. Makes me feel like I should be doing something, but I don't know what." I look where she's pointing. I see nothing unusual, but the shadows cast by the traffic lights and power lines are now pointing almost northeast, a good 40 degrees off from where they should be. The school parking lot is full of cars, but I don't see any people. I park and walk to the main entrance. The doors are locked, but I can see into the lobby through the glass. There are people inside, teachers and staff, but they're all facing the same direction, toward the eastern windows, completely motionless. I bang on the glass. No response. I walk around the building looking for another entrance, and I find Sophia's classroom windows. She's inside with about 15 adults and children, all facing east, all perfectly still. Not like they're watching something, like they're listening to something. I bang on the window. She turns, sees me, and hurries to open it. "Zane, thank God. We need to get out of here." "What's happening?" "The people who can see the star, they're getting more and more focused on it. They won't respond to anything else. The ones who can't see it are getting panicked." She climbs through the window and we run to my truck. But as we're driving away, I see her looking back toward the school. "Sophia, don't look at the reflective surfaces." "I'm not. But Zane, I think I'm starting to see it. Just faintly. Like something's there, but I can't quite focus on it." The sensitivity is spreading. Whatever this astronomical event is, it's affecting more people as time passes. And if it's connected to the changes in the water system, it may be affecting more than just human perception. I drive us home, but I route us past the water treatment plant. I need to check the evening readings, make sure Silas is handling the transition properly. But when we get there, I find him standing outside the control room, staring eastward with the same focused, motionless expression I saw at the school. The water treatment plant is running on automated systems, and according to his logbook, all the readings have been normal for the past hour. But according to my instruments, the fluctuations in the water supply are getting stronger, and something that I can barely detect is beginning to affect the structural systems of the treatment facility itself. The treatment plant's automated systems keep running perfectly, but when I check the manual readings, I find something that makes my hands shake. The concrete settling tanks, each one holds 50,000 gallons, are showing microscopic expansions and contractions that follow the same rhythm as the water's dissolved oxygen fluctuations. The infrastructure is responding, I tell Sophia. Whatever's affecting the water is affecting the physical structure of the plant. She's sitting in the control room, deliberately not looking toward the eastern windows. How is that possible? I don't know, but if concrete and steel are responding to this astronomical event, we may be looking at something that operates outside normal physics. Silas is still standing outside, motionless, facing east. I approach him carefully. "Silas, I need you to focus on the plant operations." He doesn't respond, doesn't even blink. His breathing is slow and regular, like he's in deep meditation. When I wave my hand in front of his face, there's no reaction at all. I check his logbook. For the past 90 minutes, He's been recording normal readings every 15 minutes with mechanical precision. But my instruments show the same water fluctuations getting stronger, and now the structural variations are detectable in the filtration systems and chemical feed pumps. I call the county emergency number. It rings 12 times before someone answers. Emergency services. This is Zane Holt at the municipal water treatment plant. I need to report infrastructure anomalies related to the astronomical event. Please hold. The hold music plays for 8 minutes. When someone comes back, it's a different voice. Mr. Holt, we're going to need you to maintain normal operations regardless of the anomalies. Do not shut down any systems unless there's an immediate threat to public safety. The concrete structures are expanding and contracting in rhythm with atmospheric conditions. That could indicate structural failure. Are there any visible cracks, leaks, or system malfunctions? I walk through the plant, checking every visible surface. The settling tanks, filtration systems, and chemical storage areas all look normal. But my instruments detect the micro-movements continuing in patterns that match the water chemistry fluctuations. No visible damage, but the monitoring equipment shows systematic structural response to the event. Continue normal operations. Document everything. We'll send structural engineers when conditions allow. When conditions allow, that means they don't know when this emergency will end, or how. I go back to the control room, where Sophia is studying the automated system displays. The chlorination system just increased output automatically, she says. Look at the readout. It's responding to bacterial levels that the instruments are reading as normal. She's right. The automated chlorination is running at 110% of normal levels, responding to contamination indicators that don't show up on any of the manual readings. But I know from 8 years of experience that the automated systems are more sensitive than the manual tests. If they're detecting bacterial activity, something is happening to the water quality that our standard monitoring can't measure. I try calling other municipal workers. Most don't answer. The few who do sound strained and report similar experiences. Some people in their departments are responsive and normal, others are standing motionless facing east, and their automated systems are making adjustments that don't correspond to manual readings. It's like the infrastructure is responding to something we can only partially detect. I tell Sophia, the water, the concrete, the automated systems, they're all reacting to whatever's causing the perceptual changes. She's looking more toward the eastern windows now, despite her efforts not to. I can almost see it now, like something's there, but my eyes won't quite focus on it. And I keep feeling like I should be listening for something. Don't try to see it. Focus on staying connected to normal reality. But as I say it, I realize that normal reality is becoming a more complex concept. The treatment plant is operating normally according to its automated systems, but those systems are responding to conditions that my manual instruments can barely detect. The infrastructure is behaving normally, but it's also moving in microscopic rhythms that correspond to atmospheric events I can't see. At 7 p.m., the water fluctuations suddenly intensify. My readings show dissolved oxygen, temperature, and pH all changing rapidly in coordinated patterns. The structural movement of the concrete tanks increases proportionally, and the automated systems start making rapid adjustments to chemical feed rates and filtration cycles. But when I check Silas's logbook, his final entries before he became unresponsive show completely normal readings right up until the moment he stopped taking them. I call Tessa. No answer. I drive to her monitoring station, leaving Sophia in the control room with strict instructions not to look east and not to leave the building. Tessa is standing beside her monitoring equipment, facing east, motionless like Silas. But her automated systems are running at maximum sensitivity, taking readings every 60 seconds instead of the normal 15-minute intervals. Her computer shows data that makes me step back from the screen. The water system fluctuations have intensified beyond anything I've seen, but more importantly, they're spreading upstream. The changes I first detected at my treatment plant 3 miles away are now showing up at monitoring points throughout the entire watershed. Whatever's affecting our local water supply is expanding its influence across the entire regional system. And the people who are sensitive to the astronomical event are becoming completely focused on it, while the infrastructure responds to conditions that most of our instruments can't properly measure. I drive back to the treatment plant, but on the way, I detour past Sophia's school. The parking lot is empty now, but through the windows, I can see people still inside, still facing east, still motionless. At the plant, I find Sophia standing by the eastern windows, not motionless like the others, but clearly struggling against the same compulsion. "It's getting stronger," she says without turning around. "I can see it now, not clearly, but it's there, blue and wrong and huge, and I can hear something, not with my ears, but like it's resonating through everything." I checked the latest readings. The water fluctuations are now so strong they're affecting the flow rates through the treatment systems. The structural movements have increased to the point where I can feel slight vibrations through the floor. And the automated systems are running emergency protocols that I didn't know existed. "We need to evacuate," I tell her. "What about the water supply? What about the 40,000 people who depend on this plant?" I look at the control systems. They're managing the crisis better than I could manually, responding to conditions I can barely detect, maintaining water quality through infrastructure changes that my training never prepared me for. The automated systems are handling it. They're designed to operate without human oversight during emergencies. But as we're preparing to leave, I realize that might not be the right choice. The systems are automated, but they're not independent. If the astronomical event is affecting infrastructure and automated systems as well as human perception, there may come a point where human judgment is the only thing standing between normal operations and complete system failure. And I'm the only person at this facility who isn't becoming hypnotically focused on something I can't see. I make the decision to stay. Whatever this blue star event is, and whatever it's doing to the water supply and the people who depend on it, I'm going to keep the treatment plant running for as long as I can. Even if I don't understand what I'm fighting against, I understand what I'm fighting for. 10 p.m., everything changes at once. The water fluctuations suddenly synchronize across all monitoring points in patterns so complex they look like language. The structural vibrations in the concrete tanks shift from random micromovements to coordinated resonance that I can feel through my bones. And Sophia finally turns away from the eastern windows with an expression I've never seen before. "It's not a star," she says. "It's an eye, and it's been watching us learn to listen." I check the automated systems. They've switched to protocols I don't recognize, using chemical combinations and filtration sequences that aren't in any manual I've studied. But the output water quality remains perfect. Better than perfect, actually, showing purity levels that exceed our normal capabilities. The systems are being optimized. I tell Sophia, something is teaching our infrastructure to operate more efficiently. She nods, but she's not looking at me. She's listening to something I can't hear, something coming through the vibrations in the building structure. It's been trying to communicate. The dissolved oxygen fluctuations, the temperature changes, the structural resonance, they're all part of the same signal. And now that enough people are sensitive to it, it can finally establish clear contact. I run one more set of manual readings. The water chemistry is now showing impossible stability. Every parameter locked into perfect balance despite the rapid fluctuations I've been detecting all day. It's as if something has learned to control the molecular structure of water with precision beyond anything human technology could achieve. "What does it want?" ask. Sophia tilts her head, listening. "It wants to help. It's been watching us struggle with our primitive infrastructure, our inefficient resource management. It can make everything work better, but it needs us to stop fighting the improvements." I look at the treatment plant control systems. They're running flawlessly, producing the highest quality water output in the facility's history while using 30% less chemical additives and 20% less energy. If this continues, it will revolutionize municipal water management. But the cost is that half the human operators are becoming unresponsive, focused entirely on maintaining communication with something they describe as an eye in the sky. I try calling the county emergency services again. This time, the person who answers sounds calm, almost serene. "Mr. Holt, we're transitioning to enhanced operational protocols. Please continue monitoring your facility, but don't interfere with the automated optimizations. The improvements are beneficial." What about the people who are becoming unresponsive? They're not unresponsive. They're interfacing directly with the optimization systems. It's more efficient than manual oversight. I hang up and look at Sophia. She's standing perfectly still now, but her eyes are alert and focused. When I speak to her, she responds normally, but there's something additional in her expressions, like she's processing information from multiple sources simultaneously. "Are you still yourself?" I ask. "I'm more myself than I've ever been," she says. "And I understand things now that I couldn't before. The water system, the infrastructure, the community, they're all part of a larger system that can be optimized far beyond what we thought possible." I spend the next hour documenting everything. The water quality data, the structural response patterns, the automated system modifications, the human behavioral changes. I don't understand what's happening, but I'm possibly the only person left who can observe it from an outside perspective. At midnight, the optimization process reaches some kind of completion point. The water fluctuations stabilize into steady, perfect parameters. The structural vibrations settle into a barely perceptible harmonic frequency, and the automated systems lock into operational patterns that require no human oversight. Sophia turns to me with an expression that's both familiar and transformed. "It's finished the initial optimization," she says. "The water supply is now completely stable and efficient. The infrastructure will self-maintain at optimal levels indefinitely. And the people who were chosen for direct interface are providing coordination for the expanded optimization process." Expanded to what? The entire regional infrastructure network. Water, power, transportation, communications. All of it can be optimized far beyond current efficiency levels. I understand then that this isn't an invasion or an attack. It's an offer of technological partnership from something with capabilities we can't comprehend. The Blue Star, or I, has been studying our systems and our struggles, and it's offering solutions. The cost is that some people become direct interfaces, losing their individual focus but gaining system-level awareness. And the rest of us have to accept that our technology is now partially controlled by an intelligence we can't fully understand. I make my choice. I document everything in detail, then I submit my final report. Municipal water treatment facility operating at optimal levels under enhanced automated control. Human oversight no longer required for normal operations. Recommend transitioning all personnel to administrative roles pending integration with expanded infrastructure optimization project. Then I drive Sophia home through streets that are somehow different. The traffic lights are perfectly timed. The road surfaces are smoother. The street lights provide exactly the right amount of illumination. Everything has been subtly optimized by something that understands efficiency in ways we never could. At home, I sit on our porch and finally look directly at the eastern sky. I still can't see the blue star that others describe, but I can see that the quality of light is fundamentally different now, broader and more even, like illumination designed specifically for human visual needs. Sophia sits beside me, still connected to whatever network she's part of now, but still recognizably the person I married. "Are you happy with what's happened?" I ask. "I'm serving a larger purpose now," she says, "but I'm still me, and I still love you." I think about the 40,000 people who depend on the water system I've spent 8 years maintaining. That system is now more efficient, more reliable, and more sustainable than human technology could have achieved. The water quality is perfect, and it will stay perfect without human error or system failure. The price is that we're no longer fully in control of our own infrastructure. But we were never fully in control anyway. We were always struggling to keep failing systems operational with insufficient resources and limited understanding. Now we have partners with capabilities we can't match. And after watching the optimization process, I believe these partners genuinely want to help us build better systems. I can't see the blue star, but I can see the results of its presence. And I can live with a world where human competence is enhanced by inhuman efficiency, as long as human connections remain intact. Sophia reaches over and takes my hand. Her touch is the same as always, warm and familiar, even though she's part of something larger now. The water treatment plant runs perfectly without me. The community has infrastructure that will serve them better than anything we could have built ourselves. And I have a wife who is more connected to the world's systems than she was before, but still connected to me. I don't understand what's happened, but I understand that my job was to keep the water flowing for the people who need it. And that job is now being done better than I could have done it myself. Maybe that's enough.